Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, Take Two Fishing. My name's William, and of course, I'm your host. I'm out here in the bait shop today, and check this out. So I put up a video not too long ago, pretty much DIY making soft plastics, all you need to make soft plastics. And I've had a few comments on Instagram as well as my YouTube channel that says, hey, I kind of wish you would have dove into that vacuum chamber. You left that out of your last video. And he's right. I did leave that out of my last video. So shout out to you personally, the individual that left a comment that said, hey man, you left an important step out. Would have liked to seen it. So today I'm going to do it. Another one of the questions that came up is like, hey man, can you remelt your old baits? Well, guess what? I have got a bag of baits here that I'm going to cut down, cut up, and remelt. Now these baits, some of these baits are legit baits. Some of these baits are actually, oops, I did it again baits. And what we're going to do is, I've already washed them off. I'm actually going to take and cut them into multiple pieces and place them in this cup, but I'm also going to change up and get my chest cam holder on so I can get you guys a little bit better view, man. But I want to give a couple shout outs. Shout out number one goes to Bait Plastics. If you guys have not heard of Bait Plastics, you gotta check those guys out over on baitplastics.com. They are also on Instagram. They carry such a large variety of products to help the average DIY bait maker get into the game. All you got to do is look those guys up, give Butch a call. Colorants, glitters, highlights, injectors, single injectors, dual injectors, bait products. If there's something particular that you're looking for, Butch can point you in the right direction. Those guys are super and have a great customer service behind them. So I do enjoy dealing with those guys 100%. But if you guys are wondering, wait a minute, the last time I seen Take Two, he was on the water. Why is he actually making soft plastics? Well, there you go. So that's exactly what Take Two Fishing has also gotten into, is soft plastics. If you guys have not checked out me, I'm not promoting anyone else but me, Take Two Fishing, Take Two Baits. Find me at take2fishing.com or take2baits.com. Follow me on Instagram, or check me out. I'm having a hard time speaking. Or check me out on Facebook. So how do I go about placing an order? It's pretty simple. If you go to take2fishing.com, find what you want. Over in the products section, top left-hand corner, there's a few bars there. Click on that tab. It'll take you over to the product section. Give you some pricing information. Check out what's on there, man. If you want to get a hold of me directly, you can send me an email to take2fishing@gmail.com about an order. Or you can hop over, like I said, on Instagram and direct message me. Man, I've got everything from swim baits to trick worms to stick baits to crawl baits to finesse worms, 7-inch finesse worms, 5-inch, there's a 5-inch finesse worm in here. Yep, 5-inch finesse worm. Here's another 7-inch finesse worm. Check me out over at take2fishing.com. So let me get my camera holder switched out to go to the chest cam. And man, we're going to cut some baits up, remelt them, reshoot them, and answer a couple questions that I had. Be back with you shortly. All right, guys, so here we are. As you can see, a little bit better of a picture for you. And we talked about the baits that we're actually going to melt down. So, for instance, some of these baits are baits that were used previously, and some of them wound up becoming dirty, becoming muddy, becoming yada, yada, yada. What you don't want to do is you definitely don't want to just simply take a soft plastic bait off the hook and just toss it in the water. The reason why is because So many fish each year alone will simply die from ingesting or taking in a soft plastic bait. And by all means, this is not digestible for a fish. And if I could just comment back, there's so many more individuals that will take that soft plastic bait and just simply toss it up on the bank and be done with it. And, you know, we've all got to be responsible, even as a professional fishermen, advanced fishermen, beginners. Keep in mind, when you're out on the water, it's the water of the future, the fish of the future, and we definitely want to take care of our disposables, whether it be hooks, fishing line, or soft plastics. So enough about that. So just to show you what I've done is I actually took these soft plastics and I just kind of threw them back in a bag. Over time, I've just kind of been hanging on to them because I thought, you know what, eventually I might want to melt these down and do something different with them. I try to save all my soft plastic specifically for that reason. So let's just say hypothetically, I was making this blue worm and had 1/8 of a cup of hot plastic left. I would just actually set that down and allow it to cool off, peel it out and throw it in a Ziploc bag and throw in a container, which is right down there. Actually, you can actually see some scraps here, but these are actually runs that will be used in the future, whether it's blue, reds, and what have you. Another question that came up is how do you do dual injection soft plastic baits? Well, there are a few ways, and I'm just going to grab a couple things here real quick. So I'm going to grab, let's just say, a 10-inch curl tail mold and a dual injector. All right. So hypothetically, what you're looking at with a dual injector is it's two separate injectors. This is an approximate 8-ounce injector. So if I'm going to be making something such as this, which you can see, I actually had some problems because on this laminate here, this laminate actually didn't develop the way I wanted it to. Now, that wouldn't bother some people as much. See if I can find a couple here. And it's just something about making soft plastics you run into. So here you go. So the line here doesn't really look all that bad in general. But as you notice, sometimes you'll pick up a dent. And I personally don't want to take those baits and put them out there for someone else to use. If I wouldn't use it, I wouldn't want you to use it. But like for instance, this here has a very predominant separation of colors. So this is a June bug. It's kind of in the purple family, but it's actually a June bug bait plastics. When I've actually added a few more colors to get this, and then you've got pretty much a green pumpkin on this side, which I've added some. I've got the formula written down. I've actually added some more colors to come up with that. But this particular worm was actually shot with a dual injector, and green on one side, purple on the other side, and just simply sucking it up. So you've got two different colors, and then you'll put it in a mixing block. And the way a mixing block works is really simple. So you've got your plastic colors that come in on one side or the other. But something that I've learned over time is that if you don't have your mold turned exactly the right way, here was another one of my goofing around colors. If you don't have the mold turned exactly the right way, here's the top of the bait and the bottom of the bait, which I was trying to go for two different colors. But here you see this line is in the wrong place. This should be, let's see if I can get this here. This should be the top of this. This is actually Arkansas colors, all right, Arkansas Shiner. So this actually should be on the top, and this white, pearl white color should actually be on the bottom. So it's all in how you inject back into the mold. So if you're holding in a specific direction and you know that this top of the half of the mold is the top, this top is the bottom, green is going to be my top, white is going to be my bottom, then obviously you want this to be the direction that you're shooting. And if you tweak this just a little bit, you actually start messing up which colors go where. So I wanted to touch on that. That was one of the things. But enough about that. That does kind of touch on laminates. I will be doing a dual laminate color the next go around in one of my future videos. Be sure to check that out. But enough about that. We're actually going to use this 10-inch bait over here. I'm sorry, 10-inch mold. So next step for me is to get all this cut down, and I'll get started. And basically we're just going to cut this into relatively small pieces. The reason why is because if we left it in bigger, larger chunks, it'd be a lot harder to melt down. I'm using a 1,000-watt microwave, and I do not use a microwave in the house. I purchased my own microwave that I can use out here in a bait shop, and that's just the way it is. So I don't recommend you take anything into the house and use it once you've used it for soft plastics, just like these Pyrex dishes. I try to keep, like I said, I try to keep the colors kind of together. If we do a bunch of greens and whites together, we'll be okay. But when you start mixing in blues and purples, you really just kind of get a messed up color. So I'm going to kind of speed this up a little bit if I can, and we'll be right back. All right, so as you see, I'm coming up on the home stretch here. Almost got an entire cup of recycled plastics. That's what we're going to call them. And I've got some pretty decent colors in here right now. I kind of like it. I try to keep primarily the same colors or close to the same colors in a cup when I'm going to melt it down. I felt like some of this might have been just a little bit too much over here because it's actually got some pearl in it, and I don't want to get too much pearl, especially the blue in here, because it'll dominate, and I don't want that to happen. So the next step is you got your cup of cut down worms that you've washed off, you've dried them off best you can. You're going to pop them in the microwave, and there's so many different people that tell you where they like to start. You know, you're really not going to see a meltdown until this starts warming up anyway. So I'm going to go somewhere around the 3.5 minute mark, and then I'll probably pop the lid in about 1.5 minutes just to kind of look at it. From the microwave, it goes over to the vacuum chamber, which I failed to show last time. All right, so, and the way this works is you've got your pump back over here in the back, which follows, let's see if I get some stuff moved around here, which has got a vacuum hose attached to it. Comes all the way up to a gauge, and as you can see, the gauge will kind of tell you where your vacuum is under negative pressure. And the way this works is you just simply pop off the top, set your measuring cup down inside, put the top back on, flip the pump on, and then sometimes I have to hold a little bit of pressure in the beginning, especially if this is open. Have to hold a little bit of pressure here in the beginning to kind of get this seal to suck down. Sometimes, depending on the weather, that goes. You see it's starting to take off now, and we'll turn it off. So you see it's already created a vacuum. And the sole purpose of that is to help remove gases, moistures, stuff like that. There's a lot of people that actually use it for removing the moisture out of wood when they're doing wood crafts and stuff like that. So as you see, this is still heating up. So I'm going to get this ready to pop out of the microwave and check it. And once we get this thing melted down just a little bit more, we'll get over to the vacuum chamber, and I'll show you guys about the vacuum pump. All right, so we're down to our last 50 seconds on this particular soft plastic batch. And as I was telling you, is that we'll pop it out of the microwave here in just a brief second. We'll take it over to the degassing chamber, and then we'll try to pull a vacuum on it. Now, the reason why I like to pull a vacuum is if you look in that cup, you can see some bubbles, which are right here. All right. Now, those bubbles will get in your baits. And a lot of guys say, well, man, you know, I go below the top surface there. We don't have to worry about that. Well, don't worry about the bubbles. Go from the top or from the bottom. It doesn't matter. Unless you're using a degassing chamber, you're not really going to have a whole lot of luck. So I'm going to see if I can work this right. Got a flashlight here, and I apologize. So as you can see, the cup is sitting right there. And we'll get you guys a close-up. And this will be noisy a little bit. But just to give you guys an idea what's going on here. Sometimes that lid. Flip the lid. There we go. There. So you can see as we're actually climbing. Get a little bit of light over here. You see the pump sitting over in the corner. It's a little noisy, and I apologize. But the idea is to see what's going on inside. As you can see, all the gases are starting to be pulled out, the moisture content is starting to be vacuumed out. And this will pull down to 30 bar below. It's a little noisy, and I apologize, but I wanted to give the individual who asked about the vacuum chamber some detailed information, kind of help them out a little bit. And I use this, like I said, solely to remove bubbles from my baits so that I get a better finished product. We'll go kind of over here to see where we're at on the gauge. So we're getting down there pretty good. Go back over here to the plastic. It's really starting to pick up and boil. It'll work itself on up there almost to the very top. And when that does happen, sometimes I have to give it a little shake. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Give it a shake here. That kind of breaks the bubbles up just a little bit. So again, I apologize for the noise, but I had someone say that they wanted just a little bit more information on this vacuum chamber. I've seen guys that'll take and pour an entire gallon of plastic. All right, so the principle is behind this, the way it works is here's a 1 gallon container of bait plastics, soft plastic, and you see there's some separation here, and it says mix before each use. The problem is when you start mixing this up and going to town on mixing this up, you have already created a ton of bubbles. So to get rid of those bubbles, or help get rid of some of those bubbles, is you can let it sit for a day after you've shaken it, or invest in a vacuum chamber. Again, Bait Plastics LLC, they've got them. I don't know how much more. Looks like this is about done anyway. So we'll make it done. We'll actually bleed off. And you watch the smoke that comes up. The smoke there. If I cap it back down. All right, so now you look at the difference in this plastic. All right, Big difference. So a very large majority of the bubbles has been pulled. What you don't want to do is get your knife and go back in there and just start whipping it to death, because once again, you start stirring up the plastic. And you see, that's a pretty good color combo with those plastics that we cut up and got in here. So we're gonna pop this back in the microwave. We got to get up to about 350 degrees. You've heard me say in the past that I'll use a thermal gun, or I'll actually use a drop-in thermometer, depending on what I'm doing. If I need a little bit more of a perfect temp, if I need more of a perfect temperature for shooting certain colors, more precise is the word I was looking for. If I'm looking for a more precise color, I actually will wind up using a drop-in thermometer. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get our glove on, because these injectors get a little warm, especially if you've pulled into them a couple times. This is actually kind of cold right now. It says 70 degrees. I'm not buying that. It feels like it's more about 60 degrees, to be honest with you. There you go, 64. What we'll do is let this heat up. Doesn't show like it's got much more time on it. And then we're going to shoot a 4-inch crawl, and a 10-inch worm. Fixing to go off here. I'm going to pull this out. Just kind of get a direct temp showing about 377. Stir it up a little bit. Automatically it's going to drop. Again, don't go getting too aggressive with it. So that's a little higher than normal, but that's all right for this video. We're gonna, you see it's got some pearls in there too, as you can see how it's kind of shifting a little bit as far as the colors go. Got some chickens outside. I guess you guys heard me say it last time. So we're gonna drop in about a 1/2 inch below the actual plastic, hold up just a tad bit, and kind of shoot back into the cup, kind of help burp it just a little bit. Come over here, we'll shoot this one. We'll kind of hold there for a sec. We'll pull up, go ahead and hit the sprue again, come back over here to the next mode. We'll hit it, we'll hold on just to it for a sec. And we'll kind of chop off the sprue on that one as well. Come back over here, once again over here. I like it. And I don't just do that, because as you see the bubbles, I like to go to the edge of the cup and kind of shoot back into the edge of the cup and just allow it to run down on the side of the cup. And then while that's kind of cooling down, I'll take my plastic, set it back in the microwave. I'll take and hold my injector here, kind of roll off the excess, pop the top, remove what was left in my injector. By this time it's already cooled down a little bit. Kind of clean out the nozzle. There you go. So you're perfectly clean, ready to go to the next one. Now, if I was running a separate color, say I went from this color to a light blue or something of that nature, I would automatically wipe this down, and then I would look on the inside to make sure that there's no soft plastics stuck to the side there. This is going to go back in its little place. Then what we're going to do from here is clean this off just a little bit, get my glove off, and then walk back over here and look at this 4-inch crawl. I think it's pretty close to being solid enough to pop. We'll look and see what we got. There we go. So we wound up going from all of those colors down to this. And man, that's really a relatively nice color. That's not too bad of a color to be using in Tennessee waters. I actually think I could catch a fish with that. And then we move back over here to the 10-inch worm. See what we got on it. 10-inch worm. Again, looks nice. I like it. I don't have to really worry about straightening it up too much. But you can see, again, on the 10-inch worm, pull one of them out here, not really a bad color at all. So I wound up taking some of my old plastics, melting them down, trying to keep them generally in the same neighborhood. And I've actually got some pretty good worms here now. So there you go. There's 4 10-inch curl-tail worms. And that came from, give or take, about 3/4 of a cup of soft plastics. And then we got the 4-inch crawls here. We'll pluck them off. And man, there you go. So you got your 4-inch crawl, and not too shabby of a color. Got a little bit of gold, a little bit of red, a little bit of green. The back side looks pretty good. And as I was saying, I talk about degassing. So we said moisture and we said gases, but now if you look, you do not see bubbles in that tail. So it's really, really hard to see. Hopefully your guys, come in here just a little bit. There's actually no bubbles that's actually in this 10-inch worm. And that is awesome. So here's some crawls I made the other day. And I was just fooling around, trying to come up with a good glitter combination for this particular bait color. And that's one of the things I'll run into is like, I don't like this color of glitter with this color of bait. So what will I do with it? Well, if I don't give it to one of my friends or give it away on Instagram, then I'll actually melt them down. But if you look up here, you can see that these are crawls that I have made over the timeline that I've actually been making soft plastics. I really enjoy doing this. For those who are interested in getting into the soft plastics game, please check out Bait Plastics. I definitely have enjoyed the opportunity of walking you guys through this. Hopefully it wasn't too long of a video. Sorry to the gentleman that I left out the degassing chamber, but guess what? I got it in here on this video just for you. And we've actually covered another comment about melting down old worms. So remember, don't throw away your old baits. Hang on to them. Got a friend that is making those soft plastics for you. That's great. Give them to him. He can melt them down. Go buy yourself a mold. Go buy yourself an injector. Be sure to get a microwave separate from the kitchen, guys. Don't do that. Definitely don't use Mom's, because there's actually a lot of hazards involved with it. But I hope I didn't leave anything out of this video. I'm sure I did, because I'm notorious for that. I actually hit the water last weekend on the Grand Kayak sitting over in a corner. I was actually hit the water last weekend, caught a couple fish, not very much to brag about, but we are going to be on the water, I hope, in the near future. This is definitely keeping me preoccupied with all the soft plastics that I'm making. Be sure to check out take2fishing.com, take2baits.com. They both direct you to the same place. Check out my feed on Instagram or on Facebook, Take2 Fishing. Appreciate you guys being here. Be sure to hit the like button. Give me a thumbs up. Help me grow my channel. I can't do it without you. Without you, I am nothing. So thank you so very much for watching this video. See you around next time, guys. Thanks.